Hi, my name is Brian Reed, and I work for Horizon Hobby in the Helicopter Product Development Department. And today what we're going to do is we're going to look at the brand new mQX helicopter or quadcopter, and we're going to replace a few parts on it, show you how it comes apart, show you how it goes back together, and change the flight mode from X mode to plus mode in the process so that you can see what's required to perform those modifications. The instruction manual pretty well covers how to do that electronically during the bind. What I'll show you is the mechanical modifications, and they're very minor. It's really nothing to be too concerned about. It's just a few minor changes. So the first thing we'll do to make it easy is to take the canopy off. Now the canopy is just on, it's held on to the four little carbon fiber arm posts. And to take the canopy off, you carefully just kind of lift on it and squeeze on it a little bit, and it pulls the holes open, and then the canopy itself comes off, exposing the electronics and all the fun inside of there that it takes to fly one of these. Now, out of the box, the unit comes in X flight configuration. As you can see, there's white blades on the front and black blades on the rear. So right now, the mQX would be flying straight down. When we're done with this little video, your machine will be changed to a plus flight configuration. Now, if the helicopter or the quadcopter was flying straight down, you would have one rotor in the front and one in the back instead of two in the front and two in the back. And another little thing that helps make it easier for orientation in the air is, because we've got two white props on this for the X configuration, we're going to change this prop to black, so that you have only one white one in the front. That makes it a little easier to understand which way the thing's going in the air for people who are unfamiliar with flying a quadcopter. Now that we have the canopy off of the unit, if we take a look here, we can see that there's a little screw right here in the prop. And that screw goes into the carbon fiber main shaft that holds everything together. So if we take a little screwdriver and we hold the prop, and we just turn that little baby out of there, and then these screws bounce like crazy. Or sometimes they stick to the magnet in the motor, which is even better because that way you don't lose it. But don't lose that screw. Now it's as simple as pulling off the prop. Okay, prop comes right off, and what you've got left is a little shaft and gear motor, etc. To put the black prop on, just do everything in reverse. Now if you look at the black prop, you can see there's a hole on one side, the hole goes straight through. The hole on this side has a little flat, like a little countersink into it. So what I usually do is I will hold this up, find the hole in the main shaft, then I will put the prop on there with the right face, or the right hole facing the right direction. And if you hold your finger on the bottom to hold the shaft in so it doesn't move, and then just push this prop straight down on here the whole way, chances are the hole's already lined up. So then it just becomes a matter of putting a screw back in. So it's pretty simple. Okay, now that prop's back on there, spinning like it's supposed to. And if you take a look at the unit now, you can see there's one white prop in the front, and that's it. And now it looks a little better for the plus flight configuration. Okay, next on the list will be changing one of the drive gears. Now the drive gears on this thing are pretty tough. Personally, I haven't broken one, but I'm sure it'll happen. The drive gear on this is similar to the MCPX that we sell, in that it's held on to the carbon shaft just by it's not just friction. There's a little clamp that's on there, but it's not glued. And what this does is this acts kind of like a fuse. If you bang this thing good enough, the gear kind of loosens up and it keeps from breaking other things. Another thing that will happen, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull out on this gear slightly, is you can slightly disengage this so that now this whole unit moves up and down. And what you might notice after a crash is maybe one propeller isn't spinning up correctly. Well, the first thing to check is this shaft loose, moving up and down? If it is, the thing to do is hold down on the prop, put two fingers on the gear and just push it back together, and now it doesn't move and your gear's re-engaged and the motor spins it. Again, same as the mCPX. It's just like a little fuse that we added to the system to keep other things from breaking. Now, because that gear will pull off, it also makes that gear very easy to replace. And what you can do is, again, grasping it like I grasped before, grab the prop, and don't grab it out here in the edges to pull on it because you'll end up bending it and maybe breaking it. Grab it by the hub, and all you really have to do is just pull it out, just like that. Now, there is a ball bearing on top here, and if I get the gear out of the way, there's one on the bottom. And when you pull out on this shaft, every once in a while one of those bearings will come out with the shaft. And that's not a big deal. Just keep track of it. It just needs to be pushed back in when you reassemble it. Okay, this is the main gear, and there's 4 of them on this unit, obviously, because it has 4 propellers. And as you'll notice, the boss through the center of the gear that receives the main shaft is longer on one side than the other. Well, the long side, this side over here, actually goes down when the quadcopter is sitting right side up. So if this was facing down and I was to take the prop shaft, it's going to go in this way, down through the unit. The other thing is, and I'm not sure how well you can see this, if you zoom up on this shaft maybe, if I can get the light on there, you can see a flat on that shaft. Well, there's a similar flat on the gear itself. So when you're putting, and that's why you don't need a screw on the drive gear, because the flat drives it. So when you're putting it back together, if you can't really see the flats to line them up, you can turn either the gear or the shaft a little bit at a time until you feel them line up, and then they push right together. So I'm going to set these couple of pieces aside because we're going to do a couple of more take-aparts before we put the whole thing back together again.